and welcome back to Part Lane Podcast, episode number 53. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. The Premier League may be on a short break, but we are certainly not, and we are back for another week and another week of talking about Spurs. Joined, as always, by my co-host, Sir Wynnie. How are you doing? Start with you.
All good, mate. All good. I'm missing Ange Ball, to be honest. Obviously, we've had the international break currently, and I say we've had it. It's still on, unfortunately. But that aside, I'm looking forward to chatting about whatever we can chat about because we don't stop. Spurs may stop, but we don't.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And Kallum, how are you doing?
All good, mate. All good as always. Bored of international break as I always am, unless it's a major tournament. So, yeah, waste of 2 weeks in my eyes as always.
Amazing. And Harry is back. Had a week off last week. Harry, how you doing?
Yeah, it's great to be back. Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to discussing it. Like you say, Spurs, may not be playing, but we keep on going. Definitely missing Ange Ball. I hate the international break. Completely agree with Wynnie and Kallum. Looking forward to getting back into it next weekend against Sheffield United. But it's been a horrible 2 weeks. Absolutely horrible.
Amazing. And shout out to everybody in the chat. So I will not get your name wrong this week. So Thomas, welcome. Text actually DM'd us earlier saying he's listening on his Alexa. So we're moving up in the world. Jay is also here. Welcome, Jay. Barney, welcome, Barney. And Gary W has said need Ange Ball fix. We all need some Ange Ball in our lives. How the times have changed, my friends. Anyway, quick one because you've all mentioned it. So let's get straight into it. International break. What an absolute waste of time. It's probably the only words I can use. Harry, tell me about how wasteful it is to have a mid-season break after approximately 4 games.
Oh, it's pathetic, isn't it? It's absolutely pathetic. I'm just waiting for one of our players to get injured. There was an injury scare with Romero. Maddison was constantly fouled yesterday. You can just see it coming. With Tottenham, it's sad. We just get a bit of momentum, pick up an injury, and it falls apart, sadly. So it's stupid after a few games. I get it if if it's around November, etc. But we've just started the season. You don't need a rest yet. It's like people say you need to rest players for the Fulham game. We just started the season. They've had the whole summer off. What do you want? It's crazy. There's no need for an international break. I thought we were absolutely dire, regardless of how many players pulled out. I think we're unlucky not to lose, personally. I thought, the only chance I actually enjoyed us was a great pass by Kane and a great one-touch and finish by Kyle Walker. Poor goalkeeping, personally, but we scored. Well-worked goal. But England just looked shocking. They made us look, I don't know, prime Barcelona, and that is a statement. I mean, I know we look good. It's a stupid idea. I don't understand it. No excuse for it because it doesn't really matter. It's a qualifier, really. It can do it anytime. So pathetic. Like with the World Cup during last season, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Kallum, Harry just said it. It's a qualifier, so I suppose that game is slightly important. But the game on Tuesday night, as far as I'm aware, against Scotland, isn't an important game whatsoever. Just a random game against Scotland. Quick question for you. Does it mean more to the Scots than does the English, this game on Tuesday?
Oh, are we really going back through history for this? I'm not that old, mate. Come on. I'm not even going to waste my words on it. It's just, it does mean more to the Scots. English fans couldn't give a flying fuck, mate. I'm not going to lie. So, to be honest, mate, it's a complete waste of time. It's friendlies, unless you're going to do them at the end of the season to get a bit of match fitness to go into a tournament. What's the point of playing them? It's just another way of making money. It's just FIFA now or the FA trying to make some money. There's no home counties or home countries tournament anymore. So what's the point of us playing? I don't even know where we're playing. Are we playing in Scotland or are we playing in
Hampden Park,
Glasgow.
Right. Yeah, really looking forward to that one.
And Wynnie, Gary's put a comment in here about what Southgate's obsession with Henderson plays Maddison out of position just to fit him in. It seems such a waste of James Maddison, doesn't it? And I want to kind of like cast your mind back to like many years as a Spurs fan watching England and praying to the Lords that Harry Kane doesn't get injured. Last night, I couldn't have cared less if he got injured or not. It was quite refreshing to feel. But then there was, an impending doom of James Maddison getting injured as well. So it never changes, does it?
No, going back to your comment, or just addressing what Gary has said, it's because Southgate is a creature of habit, and he likes the players. Like, what is his obsession with Harry Maguire? I mean, Harry Maguire can't even get in his club side, so I don't know why he gets in the England side. So, look, it's like you say, it was quite refreshing not having to worry about Harry Kane. But as you say, the flip side of that is we then had James Maddison to worry about, because equally as important to us now as Harry Kane was when he was there. So if we lost to James Maddison, we would be in some deep shit. So
yeah,
the international break, it's a weird flip, isn't it? Because in recent years, let's say the last 2 years, international break has been a bit of a reprieve for us Spurs fans, in the sense that we kind of look forward to it because our performances in the Premier League have been absolute dog shit. So we're like, oh my God, we've got 2 weeks off without having to worry about watching Spurs. Whereas this year, we could have, it's the least thing we wanted. We didn't want an international break because we're just, we're absolutely flowing. The football's flowing, the winds are flowing. So it's all I can say is I'm just grateful that it will be over next week. And like you say, if it's a qualifier, fair enough. But, we really don't need to be playing Scotland on Tuesday because, England v Scotland, it's going to be a feisty affair. There's going to be tackles flying in, regardless of, whether it's a qualifier or a friendly. There's going to be absolute crunches going in, and that's the last thing we need with the Premier League at the weekend. But, thankfully, it will be over as of next week and we can get Ange Ball back.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, on Tuesday night, there are even more changes and, Southgate kind of just decides to play whoever, whenever, just to try and fill positions. But you never know with him. He could go the full strength team and we end up with a broken leg to Maddison. But let's hope not. Talking about slight injuries, Harry, which now turns out to be not so serious, which is wonderful. Yeah. And he also kind of talks about the international break. It doesn't really make any sense to me that, players like Christian Romero have to go all the way to, fair enough, it's his home country, right? But all the way to South America, or home continent, I should say, for a few games to then come all the way back. Just seems like, when they talk about player welfare and they talk about, too many games, player welfare, yet they stick all these international games in.
That is why they're hypocrites.
Lionel Messi said this week that Christian Romero is the best defender in the world, apparently, if we can believe Twitter. What do you think about that?
I agree. It's something that, you've gone from thinking last season he's probably the worst centre-back to finding out Messi said that he's the best. So it's just a big difference.
You do like to twist my words.
Well, it's slightly different, but he's a top centre-back.
Luke, you changed your clothes. You changed mine more than you changed clothes. So, what can you say about that?
Well, no, put it this way. Romero is a top centre-back. I hate the comparison to the likes of Saliba. For me, there's not many. There's not many better than Romero. Put it this way, I don't think there's anyone better in the Premier League than Romero right now. I think he's generally hit that height, hit that level. He's got the vice captain's role for a reason. You watch him for Argentina. He's a different player to he was. I can understand where you came from last season, Luke, because he was a rash player. But having watched him in Argentina last season, he wasn't like that. Because I partly think that's, or mainly think that's because he had a reliable partner next to him. He's now got that in Van der Ven. He's got a new manager. He's had to prove. He's had to prove why he's in the team, why he's so important. Not only for the Spurs team now, but the long-term project with Ange. So he's had a lot to kind of prove, if you like. And that vice captain role comes with it. And he's definitely stepped up. But yeah, in terms of player welfare, it's just hypocritical for me. As a player for my country, I'd refuse to play unless it's a qualifier or a tournament. Got Alexander-Arnold, Grealish pull out. It's quite clever because it's an absolute waste of time. If they get injured, then we know whose fault it is. Especially when the game means nothing against Scotland. It means absolutely nothing. I couldn't care less. I watch it, yes. Wasting my time, probably yes. But I couldn't care less. I don't want us to lose, but I'm not going to spend crying if we don't win. Honestly, I couldn't care less. But Romero up there with the very best. All I would say, Lucas, I told you so.
Fair enough.
You had
Fair
to fit
enough.
that, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. You could
yes.
just be nice to me for once. Johnny
Sorry.
D has said Romero, I would take his as a Saliba or Mangali's reserve. He's good enough. He's good enough, apparently, according to Johnny, the Arsenal fan. So no surprise there.
Should I say anything mean or should I just be nice and quiet?
Just be nice, I think, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, Johnny tunes in every week, to be fair, gives us our ratings. So,
we can't lose Johnny. We can't lose Johnny.
Don't always read his comments out because most of them are a load of nonsense.
Deluded but loyal, so he can have that.
Yeah. There we go. And Hasper TV has said, big up, lads. Voice, which I assume means coys. So, there's a reason why I didn't ask Harry about this. It saves a long discussion. So I'll move on to you, Kallum, and talk about Højbjerg. Because in 2 games for Denmark, he scored 2 goals.
Where's Dave?
I read a tweet from a person on Twitter whilst actually I was listening to one of you guys, and he said that Højbjerg has scored 2 goals now in international duty. I'd start him next week. That seems like, classic Spurs Twitter, doesn't it? Someone scores 2 goals in a random international game. Suddenly, they should start for Spurs.
Do we actually know who them goals were against? Were they against San Marino? Were they against some random little principality somewhere?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I actually have a feeling it was against San Marino, but I will check.
I think it was actually. As it happens, I think it was.
No, don't.
I think the first goal was against San Marino, the other night. Friday night or something, wasn't it?
How is it that I've just named someone I've actually probably got it right? Come on.
Oh, yeah, okay, so it's Finland today.
Yeah.
Who remembers the last international from Finland that anyone knew about?
Timo Pukki.
Oi, he scored. It's not his job.
Timo Pukki was an absolute hero when he came to the Premier League for Norwich. Love him.
He was, to be fair.
Okay, Pukki.
Højbjerg got the winner. He won the game, Højbjerg. Done it by himself.
San Marino.
Yeah, San Marino.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't start. No, just no. We've got a good combination of Madders, Basuma, and Sarr. Just leave it alone. Don't mess about with it. Why? Yeah, someone scores on international duty. Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Højbjerg, but we know he's not suited to Angie's style. He did that interview the other day where he said he's not in the team. He's going to try and listen to the manager and try and get back in his faults. Well, I highly doubt 2 games, one against Finland and one against San Marino, in a Denmark team, which is quite good on quality level as well.
Yeah. I
don't think that's going to change Angie's mind any shape or form, even if it's against Sheffield United. Simple as that. It's a non-starter. Højbjerg's got to take his time. He's got to prove himself if he comes on in the last 20 minutes, half an hour. And he's not a goal scorer. Simple as that. I know people always bang on he's creative for Denmark, all of that stuff, but he's not just playing alongside players in the defensive role for Denmark. He's playing more advanced alongside Eriksen and other people like that.
Eriksen did score.
Well, yeah, but
Eriksen, isn't he like about 40 now? He looks about 40. To be fair on the lad, he did have a heart attack and whatnot, so I don't blame him. But he does look.
Yeah. And I swear, Harry, can we just mute him or something like that? He's just ripping all my points apart. But no, to be honest, we need to make sure, literally, we stick with what we've got. We do what's right. We play to our strengths, how we've been playing, and then we start tweaking it. If we start getting injuries, that's when you start turning to your squad. But if you've got a winning combination, you'd maybe only switch out Sarr for Bentancur when he comes back. That could not be until November or December. You've still got the Celso as a backup option. You've got Skip. I would say most of these players are still ahead of Højbjerg in the style of play, at least. But we're not the manager, so how are we going to know what goes through his mind? He might see that Højbjerg plays brilliantly well. brings him in for one game, and he has an absolute stinker. And we look back on this pod and think we might have been right and we might have been wrong. So who knows?
Talking as a true football manager, that what you just said then. You don't change your winning formula. Love that. Anyway, let's move on to Has Spurs comment here, Wynnie, where he said, if Romero is out, then we are in trouble. As I said on Harry podcast, was a mistake to let Sanchez go. Harry or Has, I enjoy your content, but that's a load of nonsense. Wynnie, what do you think about letting Sanchez go?
Yeah, you know, as you said there, I disagree with Has, to be honest. It was the right time to let Sanchez go. We are a new team. We are a new force. Everything around the club is different. We've almost transformed into this completely, you know, to me, this is just me personally, it feels like a completely different Tottenham Hotspur from top to bottom. Even down to our transfer policies and stuff. We've completely changed what we do. So, look, Sanchez was a suitable replacement, if needed, in my opinion, but the least we had to use him, the better. So I think that Phillips and Dorrington are more than capable and probably better suited to this new system. Look, Sanchez was very athletic. He was good at, you know, unfortunately, he was good at last-ditch tackles, but the only reason why he had to make a last-ditch tackle was because he fucked up in the first place. So, look, he was no good at playing out from the back. That, you know, I just don't want to see him in my side. I want to thank him for his, you know, his endeavour, his passion. He was fully, you know, come on you Spurs while he was there, but we needed something different. And, you know, like from what I've heard, Phillips has been impressing in training. He's with the under-21s, I believe, but training with the first team. So, look, if we need someone to step up, I would much rather it be Phillips than Sanchez. So I don't think it was a mistake to let Sanchez go. The time was right. We've got too many people on our books, even still, that are just absolutely stealing a living. And he was one of them, really. And we had the opportunity to let him go. And look, for his career, I think it's a good move as well. Because he's going to be playing Champions League football. He's going to be going to a country and a team that are very passionate about their team and their country. So I think it's a good move for him. And it's a good move for Spurs because he is nowhere near our squad.
Yeah, definitely. And Davinson Sanchez just kind of shows what terrible business Spurs have done previously in the transfer market. You know, this isn't just a guy who's fallen out of favour with Ange Postecoglou. And actually, I feel like Ange liked him slightly more than other managers have, you know, because we did see him feature at times. You know, talking about Romero coming off with the head injury, and then his first thought was to bring Davinson Sanchez on. But I assume he only likes him based on his pace and speed. But as you say, Wynnie, you know, playing out from the back, you need a good first touch. The one thing I will say about Davinson Sanchez, and I'm not gonna, you know, absolutely slaughter him because I don't feel like he has done enough to deserve that. He hasn't done enough in general. But he's a guy that we brought in that had incredible kind of ceiling and an incredible ability to be able to progress and become a top centre back, in my opinion. And why that hasn't happened, we could say the same for many players at Spurs, you know, that we have signed. But to sign him for £50 million ish, if I remember rightly, and to sell him for between 10 and 15 million euros, just, you know, that must have hit Daniel Levy in the balls, to be honest, because, you know, he can't be happy with losses like that. But, you know, again, it does kind of show the new strategy that Spurs are on. And this, you know, comment is really important, where Chris said people seem to be writing off Phillips before he's even played, and just obviously seen something he likes. So give him a chance if needed. Surely that's all we can ask, right? Under Antonio Conte, Spurs said, oh, that wasn't a Conte signing. Conte didn't want that player, this, that, and the other. And now we've got a player who Spurs have signed and is, you know, impressing in training, showing his worth. And people are already saying, oh, we don't have enough cover. Why do we let Davinson Sanchez go? The same player that you all booed because you weren't happy with his performance. It's absolutely massively hypocritical, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Harry, talk to me about Sanchez.
No, I agree with what you said. Personally, I'm 50-50 with the decision. Part of me thinks, and will always think that, listen, I love Sanchez. I love his loyalty and commitment, while he's on the pitch. Spurs through him. We saw that the final day with the celebrations on the bench. But in terms of, for him, it's a great move. He's a player that, like Wynnie says, we needed to get off our books. We've got quite a few like that. Some we've moved on, some we haven't. So in terms of that, we had to move it on. And lots of fans sat here and go, why is he still at my club? The same people were saying that and now saying, why are we putting our trust in Ashley Phillips? Well, and the same people were going, trust Ange. So, where does the hypocrisy stop? So for me,
people were saying Ange out as well before he even joined. So
the stupid hashtag. I wasn't, all for the appointment, but the hashtag is pathetic. It's entitlement, and I will continue to say fans think they're up here when we're not that. We're not that high at all. So no, honestly, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Look at Vicario. He was written off, but Sanchez, for his sake, good move. Yes, I think we should have moved him on. Should we maybe have someone else to back up? Maybe, but we didn't. No one else went out the door apart from Sanchez on deadline day. If Dyer had gone, and of course, someone should have came in. It's risky, but if Ange has confidence in Phillips and doesn't think they get injured or suspended, fine. We're not the managers. Ange is happy with it. Fine. It's a great move, like Holly says. Great move for the club, getting some money, better than none, and a great move for the player.
Yeah, definitely. And quickly, Kallum, on that. A lot of Spurs fans in the past have been saying that we're wasting our academy, that, why are we selling all of our good young prospects? I remember the meltdown we sold Dylan Markande. And now, there's a chance for a young player who's played well in training, who's shown that, we're talking about Dorrington obviously now, that's, we can give it a chance and said, what, you can train with the first team, whatever that may be. And now he's being talked about as, potentially being cover for a first team player, whether that's on the bench or whatnot. And yet fans aren't happy about that. Like, how? Just make it make sense to me, surely.
Being Spurs fans, we are fickle, we are feeble, we are silly. But if he's done enough to show Ange from the couple of under-21s games that he's played alongside Dorrington, then I'm all for it, mate. If he can force Sanchez out the door, which I think Sanchez actually deserved the move, to be honest, as well. I think he's given enough for the club, and I think even he said earlier in the season, or at the start of the transfer window, that he was looking for a new challenge anyway. So all for him making that move. But yeah, if Phillips comes in, if Dorrington then becomes, say, fifth choice after Van der Ven, Romero, Davis, Phillips, Dyer's still disappeared somewhere. You don't even see him in training photos now. And if Dorrington's fifth as well, then all for it. Because, Spurs have actually let go to more of their young academy prospects since the end of the window anyway, and Harvey White and Maxim Patskotsky, the Estonian international as well. So, they're going to be good football league players, something like that. So, we need to, if people really want us to use our academy, then we need to start showing faith and all that. Because, I hate to speak about it, but Arsenal based a lot of their sort of rise over the last couple of years on Saka, Smith Rowe, and other people like that coming through their academy. The last people that came through our academy theoretically and have succeeded, or at least done, say, 40, 50 plus appearances, Tanganga and Skip. They was already still coming around when Mourinho and the end of Pochettino's era. You've got Markandi made a little bit of an input, but went to Blackburn, I believe. You've had Marcus Edwards leaving that time. You've got Devine, Parrott and Scarlett all out on loan. To be honest, when you get sort of 20 to 21, Premier League football is very difficult. So unless they take their chances up until there, they're going to have to start stepping down levels to then try and work their way back up. So, for Phillips and Dorrington to do it at 17, 18, then Ange must have some faith in them. And if Simon Davis, who's leading the academy now, has referred these to Ange, then all for it, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And talking of young players, Kallum, coming back to you on this one, there's been news this evening of that Spurs are about to sign the young Croatian centre-back talent Luka Vuskovic. I know nothing about him, but it does say here Vuskovic only wants Spurs despite interest from 5 more top clubs. Now, I don't expect you to dive into the Croatian Wonder Boy market unless you've got that loaded up on your Football Manager save. But there was an interesting point you made off air before we came on about this player.
Yeah, so what it is, since Brexit happened, a lot of regulations have changed with under 21 players now. So what it is that a lot of players coming from Europe and even South America now, they have to be over 18. So this is very much one for the future. Anyone thinking that he's going to come in as third, fourth, fifth choice centre back are going to be sadly disappointed. So as Croatia are part of the EU and he's coming from Hajka Split, he won't be theoretically joining us until 2025 unless there is a way to get around it. But there's more chance of him staying there, to be honest, because I don't think he will actually qualify for a work permit anyway to come over here. But exciting young talent, very much in the mould of Josko Gvardiol. He's impressed a lot of scouts across Europe. So if Spurs are actually going with this database model of going with what Ange wants, but also getting all our talent scouts looking for young talent to bring in and mature in the academy, then it follows the line of Elise, Sarr a couple of years ago, Phillips this year as well, and a couple of others. So yeah, good move if it all turns out right.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for that. Wynnie, let's move on, talk about Brannan Johnson. I read today that he is the second fastest player in the Premier League since the start of the 22-23 season, clocking a speed of 36.7 kilometres an hour. That's fantastic.
Why is every? I mean, I say why. I know why because it's what Ange likes. But every player we seem to sign happens to have recorded the fastest speed in the league previous year. Like it was the same with Van der Ven, wasn't it? He recorded the top speed in the Bundesliga or wherever it was.
He's a speed merchant, old Big Ange.
He absolutely loves it. And do you know what? Like I don't mind it because. I mean, in the Premier League, I don't think it works as much because the games are a bit tighter, and I think the way that the game is, speed works in if you look in like Serie A and the Bundesliga, except I think speed works better there. But it's still an incredible asset to have, and it's something that Ange bases a lot of his team on. So it looks as though Brendan is a perfect fit for that. Whether he chucks him straight in. I have no idea because obviously, typically he plays on the right, and Kulusevski has obviously scored. He's had a decent international break, I believe, got a couple of goals and a couple of assists. Yeah. So if Ange's looking at that, how do you displace him? But then the flip side is Sonny down the middle is an absolute must for me at the minute because Richarlison is lacking so much confidence. So maybe Johnson can play on the left. But then again, the flip side to that is Solomon in his last game recorded 2 assists. So what do you do? No, he's a very, very good signing in my opinion. I think he's very direct. We don't have, other than Solomon, I think Solomon's our best option for a 1v1 winger to beat a defender. And I think Johnson now rivals that. Very, very good at what he does, beating a defender one-on-one. So he's a very, very typical Ange signing. And you know what? I'm all for it. We have to listen to what Ange wants because we thought the impact wouldn't be as big and as quick, but he's made a very, very huge impact very quickly. So whatever Ange wants, then I want.
Yeah, definitely. Kallum, I can see your fingers typing away. So talk to me very quickly about Brannan Johnson, because Wynnie made a good point. I was thinking this as well today. Where does he fit in, and where is probably going to be his more favoured position in this team? And that means then who drops out based on that. Because Wynnie, you've made very good points about players in certain positions. And, we mentioned it with Højbjerg earlier. You can't just start dropping people in and kicking people out if they are playing well. So where do you think he fits best in this team, Kallum?
It's a difficult one because he can play across all of the front three. He played predominantly on the right for Forest last year, and he, using that pace, always used to be able to beat his man, but then he had a little bit of the Lucas Moura-esque about him last year, where he used to run into a lot of blind alleys sort of thing as well. But I think good option. He's going to be more direct than Kulusevski on the right because he can actually go on the outside, whereas Kulusevski always likes to cut in on his left foot because that's the only move that he seems to have most of the time when he's trying to shoot anyway into the left-hand corner. But yeah, I think either right or up top. I think using his pace up top will be good because, Son uses his pace and that works for him up top as well. But I reckon more on the right because I don't think he's going to be that great against low blocks. I think he's got a little bit of a Charleston-esque about him. But no, I reckon he'll do well this season if he keeps his head down and gets on with it.
Yeah, definitely. I was the reason why I was asking this actually was a bit of scouting for my FPL because I was considering putting him in my FPL team, but then he feels a little bit like picking any kind of City player or Chelsea player or anything like that, where you just never know whether they're going to play or not. So
he's quite a high risk player to start off with. He's not prolific. I won't say that. So he's not your guaranteed number 9, number 10 sort of thing, but he's got flair, he's got trickery, he's got something about him which has a question mark over it where people don't know what he's going to do all the time. So he could be a creative one. But yeah, like Gary said, he's quite similar to Aaron Lennon, just with more end products, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I know that. I'm glad you said that part about end product. Love Aaron Lennon, but didn't have much else, did he, apart from a lot of pace. Harry, it's quite a good segue actually to move on a little bit to talk about your favourite Spurs player, Richarlison. Now, I know exactly, cry more. So that's backfired on him, hasn't it? Anyway, talking about Richarlison, I'm not going to quote you word for word because I can't remember it, to be quite honest, word for word. I will find it one day when I have time. But there was a prediction at the start of the season of Richarlison to score approximately 20.
I stand by it.
20.
No, I said 15.
20 goals
You've changed it. I said 15. I never said more than 15.
You said 20 in all competitions.
Yeah, 20 in all competitions. Yeah, stand by that. Absolutely.
We ain't got enough competitions.
No, that's not my fault. That's Ange. I thought we treat it seriously.
We've only got one competition.
In the Carabao Cup, you can't argue with that, can you? One and one.
But listen, yeah, true.
100% score record of games played in the Carabao Cup this season. You can't argue with those stats.
No, he's up there with the best, isn't it? But no, Richarlison, it's clear that it's a confidence issue. I think we need to get behind him as fans, home game Sheffield United, because that's what our fans are here for, to support the players, to support the team. Anyone doing otherwise, I want nothing to do with, really. Whatever you think of him, you have to get behind him. He's going through a tricky patch. I think he'll come out the other side stronger. I think there's a player in there. He's consistently done it for Everton and Watford. No, he shouldn't play against Sheffield United because I have to. I can't be a hypocrite here. I have to stand by what I've been saying for about 2 years, and that is if a player's not playing well enough, then they don't get the team. No one deserves a guaranteed space. So Richarlison is benched for the game. I'd love him to see him score. One time he scores, Ange takes him off, but I'm not the manager. Not something I'll do, but he knows what he's doing, I suppose. But no, I stand by it. Maybe 15 goals in all competitions, but he's got goals in him. He leaves Spurs and do well. I still think he scored more goals than Jesus. I think he scored more goals than Chelsea Jackson, who I don't think will hit double figures. I think he'll be up there. Put it that way. I stand by it. I have my trust in Richarlison. He just needs that confidence back.
My my 7 goals prediction isn't looking too shabby, is it? Now, but what's interesting, Harry, is you've come down by 5 goals in 4 games. So by the time we get 8 games of the season, he's going to be on 10 in all competitions, isn't he? And then we'll get to a point where he can't go anymore.
Well, if you look back to tweet I put out in April predicting early, I did actually say 15, so I'll take that in all competitions.
Okay, fair enough. I want to talk, Wynnie, quickly about another player who has left Spurs now on loan again, probably the most loaned player in Spurs history. And also the most expensive Spurs player, Tanguy and Ndombele. Yeah. All I wrote down on my list was, but in bold capitals, what went wrong. So, yeah, what has gone wrong?
I just want to quickly say, H, I was just checking that, and we've lost two viewers since you said Richarlison was going to hit 15 goals. So I think people disagree with you, mate.
Yeah, it's not the first time. Don't worry.
No, sorry. Yeah. So touching on Ndombele, it's for me, it is so disappointing because there was so much. I genuinely don't think that I have had so much promise in a signing than I did for him. Because if you look at him when he was at Lyon, some of the stuff he was doing with the ball was incredible. It's almost like, the comparison that I could give now is what we see in Bissouma. What Bissouma is doing for us now is what we thought Ndombele would do for us on a regular basis. But possibly a bit further forward. So look, I'm disappointed. What went wrong? Just his attitude, simple as that. His attitude and application was shit. There wasn't any. It's as simple as that. And it's so frustrating because I'd love to have just, an eighth of his talent. If not, I'd love to have a little bit of just what he has. Because you can add the application and the effort, and you can go very, very far with it. So what went wrong? No attitude, really poor attitude. And again, I'm gutted, but at the same time, we cannot afford to have him sitting there doing nothing. So yeah. I know it's a loan, but I think there's an option to buy. I don't think it's an obligation. So I have no doubt that he's going to be coming straight back because they're not going to take that option up unless we make it like £4 million or something. And even then, they'd probably sit there debating it for a couple of weeks. So look, it's disappointing, but again, and even now, I don't think he gets in anywhere near our squad, even if he had a little bit of effort, because our midfield is, in my opinion, very good and very stacked at the minute. So we needed him gone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but, looking on paper, that Galatasaray team is looking tasty. Now they've got some tasty players in that team. Yeah. Anyway, 2 seconds. Kallum, you got to go.
I'm heading out, boys, so I will most likely see you guys next weekend, hopefully after a win. Do you need my
prediction?
Yeah, score prediction, please, my friend.
I am going to go for 3-1 Sheffield. 3-1 Tottenham.
I was getting ready for that.
I think we have to take that. He said Sheffield. We have to take it, surely.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
3-1 Tottenham. 3-1 Tottenham.
I'll give you 3-1. I'll give you 3.
Is that allowed?
You're too soft, Luke. You're too soft.
I know, too soft. Anyway, tell the people how they can find you, Kallum, before you leave.
So, as always, it's at CallumStubbs97 on Twitter. I am enjoying doing the pods as much as possible. I am always trying to keep positive, but as always, I will give you my straight views, and they will get a lot more stronger as we go through the season. So thanks for having me on again, boys, and I shall speak to you guys soon. See you later, everyone. Take care.
Bye. All the best, Kallum.
Right. And then there were 3. So last question then, lads. I'll come to you. Actually, yes. Do you know what we'll do? We'll do this. We're going to do this.
Oh.
We're going to go for a quick round the houses before we get into the last question, and we go on to like fancy football and whatnot. But I want to know your early season position predictions. So after 4 games under Ange, we gave our predictions at the start of the season. After 4 games, I just want to see kind of where we lie with our predictions now. So, H, I'll come to you first. Where do you think Spurs will finish this season?
My answer is completely different after that Fulham game. If you listen to my little rant on TalkSport, but I think we'll do well. I like what Ange's done in such a short period of time. Put it this way, I think we're finishing above Arsenal. So I'm going to go with third.
Sheesh, man. I need to start writing these things down. Wynnie.
We need to clip that. We need to clip that.
Yeah. Wynnie, where you think we'll finish?
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you for mine next week. Don't worry.
I said at the start of the season 5th, and I think I'm gonna stick with 5th, purely because I think we probably could get higher, but 5th gets Champions League potentially this season, so I'm happy to settle for that, and I don't want to go too high too early, because there's a lot of the season to play. So I'm going to stick with what I said at 5th and hope that. Good sense of humour, H. Love that. I'm going to stick with 5th. That's what I said at the start, and I don't want to aim too high just yet.
Yeah, Hasper TV has said 5th. Barney Ambrose has also said 5th.
I'm not joking, Johnny.
Wynnie has said 5th, and I'm also going to stick with my pre-season prediction as well, which was 5th, and say that we're going to finish 5th. Do you know what though? It is that we are playing well. I'm proud of how Spurs are doing and everything else. But I also agree with Wynnie that, we're at a place whereby it could go either way. I think it's going to be really important the next 3 weeks, when we play Arsenal and then we play Liverpool. I think that's going to show, what we're really made of. Like, we are playing well. But again, as I've said all season long, we have to understand that, if we lose one of those games, it's not the end of the world. We will have issues, against Liverpool with their pace of Salah and whoever plays on the left, whether it's Nunez or whether it's I don't know, whoever else plays for Liverpool, I suppose. I know I can't think right now. Gakpo, that's it, isn't it? Oh, or Diaz. Sorry. Yeah. So I think that's going to be an issue for us this season. But I'm also feeling good about the Arsenal game. We'll go into that obviously next week, but I think their Champions League game in the week before, I think could be interesting. They're not playing Europa League anymore. They can't make 50 changes to their side. They're going to have to put up a strong showing. First time in the Champions League in what, 5 or 6 years. So So it's going to be interesting, definitely. Another one around the houses, Winnie. We'll come back to you. Is what positions do we need to improve in the winter window?
I don't think we'll do too much business. Obviously, injury dependent. I think we are fine. What I will say, the only business I can maybe potentially see us doing is Tony.
Yeah,
that's probably the only one, because I think we can't just keep chucking Sonny in there if Richarlison has a dip in form. Although I don't mind that, because we do have wingers now to be able to complement the team. But I think, price dependent as well. I think Tony would be a very, very good signing.
Yeah.
I think he's a good fit for the system. And I think he's a very, very underrated player, if I'm honest, in the Premier League. He scores goals. It's as simple as that. So I think it'd be, I would like it, Tony as a starter with Richarlison as backup. I don't think we need to do much else. We may look at potentially a centre-back, but I think that'll only be if an opportunity arises, because I think, like we say, with a left-back says, possibly, I don't know. But no, I think... strikers where we've literally had to loan a left-back out because we got too many of them. So, So I think we'll maybe look at the striker situation if Tony becomes available, and I think we may look at a centre back, and if an option comes up for that, we may dip into it. But I think just a striker, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think striker with Tony. I think Tony should be 100% number one priority for Spurs, and then I also think, as you say, if a centre back became available, I think we're good with full backs. I think we're good with midfielders. I think we're good for wingers. That's all I could see. But then looking at how Ange plays, I don't even know if he'd be interested in going for a striker. But who knows? H, who do you think we need to go for, or position-wise? Sorry.
Before I answer the question, just to say to Johnny, Arsenal got the equivalent to a Europa League group. They got the easiest group, along with Manchester City. So I don't know why he thinks PSV and Sevilla at home are all of a sudden hard. Try being in Newcastle's group. Honestly, Arsenal fans find every single thing to whinge about. Right, that's done. So window. What do we need? obviously, whatever Ange wants, needs to be listened to and attempted to go for. For me, I think we need a strong backup centre-back. I always want that third centre-back to put both the centre-backs on their toes, ideally. Maybe Phillips can do that. I don't think yet, personally. Backup centre-back. Like you say, both of you, if Tony comes available, I think could be a clever signing. Will he come to Tottenham, though? He's expressed his interest in Arsenal and Liverpool. So I don't know whether he will join Tottenham. But if he will, then I'd love to have him. But for me, the priority is a backup centre-back and getting 4-5 players out the door. I still think there's so many more that need to go. Sorry, Has. I agree with a lot of what you say. But I think you've had a shocker with the left-back situation because we've got far too many wing-backs. For me, we still need to offload another 3 or 4. So before we bring anyone in, I can understand why the club are doing that. So I don't think there'll be that much activity, but hopefully there's some out the door.
Yeah, perfect. Let's move on, people, shall we, to a little bit of fantasy football. Now, of course, nothing has actually happened this week, but ever since we aired last weekend, the scores have since updated again because for some bizarre reason they don't update until about 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. So, lovely Wynnie is going to run us through where we all stand and where some of you stand in the fantasy football group. So over to you, Wynnie.
So I will go through where we stand. So we have. What I will say is, obviously, Dave was getting very cocky because he was leading, our Park Lane Pod kind of mini table. He was leading that by quite a lot. But I will say we are soon to be closing in. So Dave is technically top of our little group on 256 points. But then myself and Luke are very, very close behind on 255 points. So we're literally a point behind him.
We're reeling him in.
So then H, you are next on the list, H, on 241. So that is only a 14-point swing on me and Luke, which can change in a game week quite easily. And then obviously Kallum at the bottom, but we know that he obviously. But what I will say is he's closing on the pack, so he must have a. I mean, put it this way. He had, out of everyone, he had the best game week 4 on 84 points.
Wow.
So if he keeps that up, I mean, that is a swing on Dave. That's a 12-point swing just on Dave in one game week. So that shows how.
Take that, Dave.
I know, take that, Dave. But in terms of the actual table, we've got Juan Sancho, who is still the leader on 272 points. Then we've got Brainy Paul, so the top 2 hasn't changed, for a couple of weeks on 263. We've got Jack Johnson sandwiched between myself and Dave on 256 points. And yeah, pretty much that's like the top 5 or 6. So, I mean, obviously everyone else, if I was to mention everyone, would be here all day. But hopefully I'll be reading some more names out in the next couple of weeks, if anyone can break into the top 5.
Exactly.
I've taken a free hit for this week and made 6 changes to my team because I'm not happy with it. So there you go.
Did you not do your wild card the week before?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I'll do everything I can to win. I always do it, Luke, and then I get to the double game week or get towards the end of the season and go, I've got nothing left.
What changes have you made, off the top of your head?
Oh, hang on. Let me have a look. No, I don't know. I can't remember. I brought Robertson in. I can't remember why, but there's a reason for it. Let's bring it up.
I'll be interested to see if you've made that many changes. I'd like to know what you've changed.
I put Vicario in goal because I think he keep a clean sheet against Sheffield United. I brought him in. I brought Robertson in away to Wolves. I think that'd be a victory for Liverpool. I think he might get an assist. Matty Cash brought in as well, home to Crystal Palace. Who else I brought in? Nunez I brought in. And on the bench I brought in like Akanji, City's backup goalkeeper, so I can improve the first team. But it's quite an attacking-minded team. I probably haven't made enough changes to make the free hit worth it, but there'll be more changes by the end of the week. Don't worry. So just planning.
Sounds good.
Harry's one of the only people to use a wild card and then automatically uses free hit straight after.
I got told that I should do that because last season I spent a whopping 980 points on transfers, and apparently that's extremely high. So
that's absolutely insane. I've never heard that in my entire life.
And last season,
points on transfers.
It was a stat last season. I worked it out in the end. Apparently, I didn't go a single game week without making at least 4 changes. So there you go.
Oh my God. Yeah, Barney has said some good choices there, Harry. So,
whatever.
Oh dear.
Go cry in your small Europa League group, Johnny. I can't wait to see Arsenal get knocked out in the small tin pot group. Honestly.
Anyway, let's move on to my favourite part of the show, and that is the prediction table. Score prediction table again. Nothing has changed, but just to keep everyone up to date with how we're getting on. This is how we're getting on. Luke on 5, Wynnie on 5, Dave on 2, Kallum on 2, and Harry on 1. Unfortunately, Harry. And Harry, it was actually your choice to introduce the cup games, which actually made Wynnie go joint top. So
thank you, Harry.
It's not worked out terribly well. But we will go through the score predictions for the Sheffield United game. So, Wynnie, I will come to you for your score prediction, please, my friend.
I was just checking it because obviously I do Super 6. I don't know if anyone else does it. So my Super 6 prediction for Spurs was 3-1 to Spurs. So I'm going to have to stick with that one.
Yeah, no problem. Same as Kallum. Lovely. Harry?
I'm going to go with 2-0 Tottenham. I hate to be negative, but I think it's going to be our worst performance of the season. I think we'll look really dire, but we'll take our chances at Sheffield United. Wait, 2-0 win, very close. We move on.
Yeah, do you know what, Harry? I was going to go 2-0 as well. I'm thinking of changing my mind, but I'm going to leave you all hanging for a little bit while I read out a couple of other scores.
Oh, that's not fair. You get extra time to think.
Yeah, that's cheating. That is.
I make the rules, I'm afraid. So Johnny has said 4-2 Spurs. Charlison won't play, otherwise it'd be 2-2 again. Chris has said 4-0 Spurs. That's a good segue for Dave's score, who he also went for a 4-0 Spurs win.
Who's changed Dave? You've gone from someone really negative who comes on here with a 3.5-minute rant, like the world's about to end, to 4-0 win against Sheffield United. Well, how times have changed.
I think he cares about the score prediction table too much now.
Yeah, I'll beat him, don't worry.
Barney has gone for a 1-0 Spurs win. I don't know what to do here because I want to extend my lead at the top. So
no, you don't.
I know. I wanted to go for a 2-0 Spurs win, but I'm going to try and go for the diffie. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win.
You wait, it'd be 2-1.
To try and extend my lead at the top. Because if I get it right, then also Harry would get it right, and then I don't want that to happen either. So, yeah. So anyway, that kind of draws us to a close. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in this week again. It's been great fun. There's been some great comments floating around. I did see Donna Kallum was back in the chat, but it was a load of nonsense, so I didn't read it out. Just want to thank everybody, the usuals that tune in, the people that always interact with us on Twitter, always comment, always tune in, and always like and watch the videos. And also everybody on podcast platforms as well. Over 60% of people listen on Apple Music. So if you're listening on Apple Music, thank you very, very much. But over 70% of people that watch this channel do not subscribe to the channel. So if we had all of you subscribe, we'd be in a much, much better place. So just want to say to everybody that is watching or has watched at any point, it's free to subscribe, and it really, really does help the channel reach even more people. But Wynnie, thank you once again for tuning in. How can everyone find you?
Wynnie1991 on Twitter, and also admin for the Park Lane Twitter. You can maybe see me appear on other podcasts when I get the call up. Obviously, I was on Holly's channel. Big up to Holly. I was on there last Monday. Really enjoyed it. So, if anyone ever wants to request me to go on, feel free. And
you might also get people calling you Willie as well. So that's always fun.
We don't want to touch upon that one. Literally.
Yeah. Anyway, Harry, how can everyone find you?
I just clipped that. Thank you. If you want to follow me, you can there. Harry Scarf 22. Have my own channel Scarfy Spurs Talk, match previews, match reactions. They'll be back. Weekly live shows Monday 8 p.m. They continue through the international break. Got Lee McQueen on the 18th of September, so that's just over a week's time. This Monday, I can't remember. I think Haz is one of the guests on here. If he's still here, you can let me know. I can't remember. But no, I think it'll be a good show. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, because that number really is quite shocking. It's something I can relate to with my channel. I don't know if it's people being lazy or don't realise how simple it is. Just do it, for goodness sake. I mean, there are a lot of deluded people here, whether it's co-hosts or people in the chat. But we're all together. We all support Tottenham Hotspur, so that's the main thing.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And shout out to Jay, Barney.
Have a dig at Dave, by the way.
Johnny, Mile High Spurs, Hasper TV. I'm trying to think of everyone that tuned in today. Chris, everyone, whoever you were, thank you very, very much for tuning in. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Luke_Park Lane. But more importantly, follow us on Twitter at Park Lane Pod, on TikTok at Park Lane Pod, and on YouTube, Park Lane Podcast. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you next week, where we will dissect the Sheffield United game, and we will start to preview for the North London derby. So it's exciting times ahead. Bring on the next week of Spurs, and
bring it on, Johnny.
And we will see you all next week. Thank you once again for tuning in, and a big come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.